Have you ever taken yesterday's rice, or stew, or even that leftover piece of grilled chicken, tossed it into the microwave, hit that 2-minute button, and walked away thinking, it's just food. It's fine. Now pause. What if I told you that simple, everyday habit, something we all do without a second thought, might quietly be harming your brain, your memory, even your long-term health? I'm not trying to scare you, but I do want your attention. Because what if that reheated meal you thought was saving time was actually putting your loved ones at risk, especially the elderly? Think of your mom, your granddad, or maybe, just maybe, we try to eat well. We try not to waste. But what if the leftovers we warm up with love could turn toxic? You see, for our aging parents, our grandparents, for those of us over 60, even 70, the body changes. Digestion slows. The immune system weakens. And what used to be harmless can suddenly become dangerous. Doctors have quietly been warning us about it, but most people still don't know. 5 common foods, yes, the same ones in your kitchen right now, can become harmful, even cancer-causing, when reheated the wrong way. And one of them could affect your memory in ways you won't notice until it's too late. But here's the good news. Once you know what to look out for and how to handle these foods safely, you can protect yourself and your loved ones. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through each of these 5 foods. I'll show you exactly why they're risky, what happens inside the body when they're reheated, and most importantly, how to reheat them safely or avoid the danger altogether. By the end of this video, you'll know what to stop doing immediately, what small change could save your health, and how to keep your aging loved ones safe at every meal. So let me ask you, have you ever reheated your food without thinking twice? If yes, just type "I'm watching" in the comments right now. Because you're not alone. We've all done it. And if you care about eating safely, if you believe the later years of life should be lived with clarity, strength, and dignity, then take a moment and subscribe to Thriving Oldies. This is your home for real conversations, real health tips, and real solutions that make growing older a little bit wiser. Ready? Let's get into it. Now let's start with the one food that's in almost every kitchen. Simple, humble rice. White, brown, jollof, fried. It's a staple in millions of homes. But what if I told you that reheated rice could quietly be one of the most dangerous foods on your plate? Let's paint a picture. Grandma makes a fresh pot of rice. Fluffy, steaming, delicious. She eats a bit, packs up the rest, and leaves it on the counter to cool. No big deal, right? The next day, she takes a scoop, pops it in the microwave, eats it with a smile. But a few hours later, she's not smiling anymore. She's nauseous. Her stomach's cramping. And she's suddenly not herself, confused, drained, foggy. Now here's the thing. You might look at that rice and think, it's fine. I've done this 100 times. But rice is sneaky. When it sits out too long, especially at room temperature, it can grow a type of bacteria called Bacillus cereus. This isn't the kind of bacteria you can smell or taste. And here's the kicker, cooking the rice doesn't kill it all. Reheating? That only takes care of the surface. But the toxin? That stays. It hides deep in the rice. And once it enters the digestive system, especially in the elderly, whose immunity is already lower, it can cause real damage. A lot of people assume, if it doesn't smell bad, it's okay. But with rice, that's a dangerous myth. It's not about the smell. It's about the time and temperature. So here's what you need to do. Always refrigerate rice within 1 hour of cooking it. Don't leave it sitting on the table or stovetop while you get to it later. And when you reheat it, don't just zap it for a minute. Make sure it's piping hot all the way through. Not just warm on the edges. Stir. Reheat it again if needed. You want steam rising from the middle of that plate, because only then do you know it's safe. Rice is tricky, but it's not alone. The next food on our list? You probably think it's one of the healthiest things you can eat, and yet, when reheated, it could quietly hurt your brain. Let's talk about it. Now let's talk about something most people associate with health and healing. Leafy greens. Spinach. Bitter leaf. The very things we've been told to eat more of, especially as we get older. And yes, they are packed with nutrients. But what if I told you that reheating them, especially the wrong way, could quietly be turning those greens into a silent threat? Let me tell you about a sweet woman I once met, Mama Rose. She loved her spinach soup. Every Sunday, she'd make a big pot, enough to last her the week. Every day, she'd warm up a little. A small bowl here, a little there. She believed she was doing something good for herself. But after a few weeks, her energy dropped. She started getting headaches. Her hands trembled. She was forgetting things she normally wouldn't. Her doctor ran tests. Nothing conclusive at first, but something felt off. Then came the question, how often do you reheat your food? And that's when the pieces started to come together. You see, spinach, along with kale, lettuce, and other leafy greens, contains natural nitrates. Those nitrates are harmless in their raw form. But once cooked, then cooled, then reheated, they can convert into nitrites and even worse, nitrosamines. These are chemical compounds linked to cancer risk and other chronic health issues. Especially dangerous for older adults whose bodies can no longer detox as efficiently. Now here's the part most people miss. It's not just about reheating spinach itself. It's about sauces, soups, stews that contain these greens. You might not even realize it. That vegetable soup that sat in the fridge for 2 days? The one you reheated twice? It could be carrying more than flavor. It could be carrying long-term health risks. It's an honest mistake. We're all trying to save time. We don't want to waste food. But the price of convenience can sometimes be too high. So here's a safer way forward. If you're cooking with greens, portion the meal before storing it. Freeze small servings. And when it's time to eat, reheat only once, preferably on the stove. Avoid putting the same pot in the microwave day after day. And if something's been reheated more than once, it's better to let it go than let it harm you. We think of greens as gentle, healing, trustworthy. And they can be. But when cooked and reheated the wrong way, they carry a hidden cost. Greens aren't the only ones hiding danger, though. Let's move on to something we all keep in the fridge, or more often in the freezer. Something that seems safe, tasty, and familiar. But when it's reheated, it might do more harm than good. Now let's talk about a food we all know, love, and rely on. Chicken. Grilled, stewed, baked, fried, chicken is comforting. It's familiar. And for many families, especially in our older years, it's the go-to protein. It's soft enough to chew, easy on the taste buds, and simple to cook in bulk. But let me tell you about Uncle Mike. He was the kind of man who believed in prepping for the week. Every Sunday, he'd roast a full tray of chicken thighs, seasoned to perfection. He'd portion them out, lunches and dinners, ready to go. But by Thursday, his stomach was giving him trouble. By Friday, he started forgetting where he left things. And over time, something seemed off. His family thought it was age catching up, maybe stress, maybe just fatigue. But when they started digging deeper, they saw a pattern. It always happened after he ate the older reheated chicken. Here's the science behind it. When you cook chicken, its proteins change form. That's normal. But when you reheat it, especially multiple times, those proteins continue to break down. And here's where it gets risky. Your body may struggle to digest those altered proteins. They can cause stomach discomfort, inflammation, and in some cases, contribute to toxic byproducts that may harm the brain over time, especially in older adults with slower digestion and weaker immunity. See, the gut and brain are deeply connected. When the gut is irritated or inflamed, the effects can travel upward, affecting mood, memory, and clarity. That foggy feeling? That unexplained dizziness or forgetfulness after a meal? Sometimes it's not just aging. It could be the food reacting badly inside. Now most people think, chicken is cooked, it's safe. Yes, it's safe when fresh. but it's one of the most sensitive proteins when it comes to storage and reheating. So what can you do to stay safe? First, always cut your cooked chicken into smaller pieces before storing. Smaller portions reheat faster and more evenly, reducing the risk of undercooked centers and overcooked edges. Next, reheat only once. Don't take it in and out of the fridge multiple times. And when you reheat it, use the stove or oven, not the microwave. Because microwaves often heat unevenly. You might think it's hot because the top is steaming, but inside, it could still be cool and dangerous. With just a little extra care, you can still enjoy your favorite chicken dishes without putting your health at risk. But if chicken caught you off guard, this next one might just alarm you, because it's in nearly every home, every fridge, and every pot of Sunday stew. Let's talk about potatoes. Now here's one that really surprised a lot of people. Potatoes. Soft, filling, portable, mashed, roasted, fried, boiled. They're a comfort food in many homes, especially for seniors who need something gentle on the stomach. I remember a caregiver who once told me, "Mashed potatoes are our go-to. Easy to eat, quick to warm up, and Mama always finishes her plate." But then she started noticing something strange. Her mother, once vibrant, alert, full of little stories, began to change. She was bloated after meals. Her thinking felt foggy. She'd doze off right after eating, but never feel rested. It wasn't the meds. It wasn't age. It was the potatoes. Now don't get me wrong, potatoes themselves aren't the enemy. It's how we store and reheat them that creates the danger. See, when cooked potatoes are allowed to cool, especially in airtight conditions like foil or sealed containers, they can develop a type of bacteria called Clostridium botulinum. This bacteria produces botulinum spores, and they thrive in low-oxygen environments, like foil-wrapped leftovers sitting on the counter or tucked in the fridge without air. Here's the really scary part. Those spores? They can survive reheating, especially if the food isn't brought to a high enough temperature. So you might warm up your mashed potatoes in the microwave, take a bite, and think it's fine. But the center might still be cool. And that's all it takes for those spores to survive and cause harm. We're talking serious risks here, like food poisoning that hits harder in older adults, or long-term exposure that messes with digestion, energy, even cognitive clarity. And the mistake? It's so common. People cook a big pot of mashed potatoes, wrap the leftovers in foil, toss it in the fridge, and reheat it the next day in the microwave. Sounds harmless, right? But in that tiny habit hides a quiet danger. So what should you do instead? Never store cooked potatoes at room temperature, even for a short while. Cool them down quickly and refrigerate within an hour. If you're using foil, unwrap it before storing, let the food breathe. And when reheating, skip the microwave. Use a pot on the stove. Add a splash of water, stir often, and make sure the whole thing is steaming hot all the way through. Just that one change can make a huge difference. Because while potatoes may look soft and innocent on your plate, inside, when handled the wrong way, they can carry something far more serious. And now, we've come to the last food on our list. One of the most commonly reheated dishes in the world. It's quick, it's tasty, it's everywhere. But when it comes to aging health, it might be doing damage where you least expect it. Let's talk about eggs. And now, let's talk about a quiet little breakfast staple that many of us love. Eggs. Boiled eggs for breakfast. Scrambled eggs for dinner. Omelets packed with vegetables and cheese. They're quick, affordable, full of protein, and they feel like the right choice, especially for older adults trying to eat lighter and stay strong. But here's a story that might make you pause. There was a grandma I used to visit during home care rounds. Every morning, like clockwork, she'd have a boiled egg, sometimes two. If she didn't finish them, she'd keep them in the fridge and reheat them the next day. Seemed harmless, routine. But then she started feeling off. Mild nausea, strange dizziness after breakfast, a tightness in her chest that she couldn't quite explain. The family thought maybe it was her meds, or just old age. But guess what it turned out to be? The reheated eggs. Now let's break it down. Eggs are naturally high in protein, and that's a good thing. But just like chicken, when you cook and then reheat them, especially more than once, their proteins begin to change structure in ways that the body doesn't process well. And there's something else most people don't realize. Repeated heating of eggs releases sulfur compounds. Those are the same compounds that give rotten eggs their distinct smell. But worse still, cholesterol in the yolk can oxidize when heated too many times. And oxidized cholesterol? That's the stuff doctors have been warning us about, because it's been linked to inflammation, heart disease, and even cognitive decline over time. And here's the myth that trips people up. Once eggs are fully cooked, they're fine. Yes, if you eat them right away or keep them cold. But when you cook them, store them, and reheat them again, that's when the risks begin to build. Now, I get it. We don't want to waste food. We want to save time. But when it comes to eggs, fresh is best. Here's the safer path. If you're not going to eat them right after cooking, store them in the fridge, but eat them cold. Add them to a salad. Slice them into sandwiches. Avoid reheating altogether if you can. Because while eggs are one of the most nutritious foods we have, they're also one of the most delicate when it comes to how they're handled after cooking. And the older we get, the more those little decisions start to matter. So, now that we've covered all 5, the common, everyday foods that many of us eat and reheat without thinking, let's take a deep breath and bring this all home. I know, it's a lot to take in. Hard to believe even. Foods we grew up on. Meals that brought comfort after long days. That we reheated without blinking, every day, every week. Now quietly carry risks we were never warned about. But here's the truth no one really tells us. Aging changes everything. The same stomach that handled fried rice and scrambled eggs in our 30s now takes twice as long to digest. The immune system that once fought off bad bacteria with ease now needs a little help. And the liver that filtered out toxins without complaint? Well, now it works slower, harder, and wears down faster. So what does that mean? It means that every choice matters more. What we eat, how we store it, when we reheat it. It all adds up. But here's the good news. This isn't a reason to be afraid. It's a reason to be empowered. This is your opportunity, not to panic, but to protect, to cook smarter, to handle food with intention, to guard your own body and the bodies of those you love. Because let's be honest, caring for an aging parent or grandparent isn't just about the big things like doctor visits and medications. It's about the small, invisible acts of love. The meal you prepare, the way you portion leftovers, the care you take before pressing that microwave button. That's what real care looks like. Quiet, daily, thoughtful. So if you're the one who cooks in your home, or you help out with meals for someone older, take this one simple step. Freeze leftovers in smaller portions. Label them, and only reheat once. Avoid the habit of pulling the same plate in and out of the microwave over and over. Because every extra minute of heat, every extra hour at room temperature, can quietly open the door to illness, inflammation, or even long-term damage. This doesn't mean you need to throw out everything, or stop eating the foods you love. It just means you pause. Is this still safe? And you make that choice with awareness, not assumption. Because awareness, that's power, that's love. That's how you help someone thrive, not just survive. And love, my friend, shows up in the smallest of places. In a clean fridge, in a portioned meal, in knowing what to reheat and what to let go. You've got the tools now. You know what to look for. And that, in itself, is a gift. One that just might keep your loved one here a little longer and feeling a whole lot better. So let's take a moment to bring everything full circle. To recap, we talked about 5 everyday foods that many of us reheat without giving it a second thought. But for aging bodies, these reheated meals can come with silent, hidden dangers. First, So common, but when left out too long or reheated improperly, it can harbor bacteria that upset digestion and fog the mind. Second, leafy greens like spinach. Healthy, yes, but once reheated, they can turn into a source of dangerous compounds linked to cancer. Third, chicken. Loaded with protein, but its structure changes when reheated, causing digestion issues and possibly harming brain health over time. Fourth, potatoes. A comfort food, no doubt, but if stored or reheated the wrong way, they can develop botulinum spores that resist heat and pose serious risks, especially to seniors. And finally, eggs. Wholesome and filling, but once reheated, they release sulfur compounds and oxidized cholesterol that can quietly stress the heart and the brain. Each one of these foods, on their own, isn't the problem. It's how we handle them. And the solutions? They're simple. Store properly. Reheat once. Portion meals. Use the stove. These aren't massive changes. They're tiny shifts that bring big protection. Now let's talk. Which of these 5 foods do you reheat most often? Or was there one that totally surprised you today? I want to know, truly, because your stories, your habits, your insights, they help others too. So scroll down and leave a comment. Let's share. Let's learn from one another. No judgment here, just a growing community of people who care. And if this video opened your eyes, if it made you pause, reflect, or even rethink how you serve meals in your home, then please give it a thumbs up. That small action helps more people find this life-saving message. And don't forget to subscribe to Thriving Oldies. Because here, we don't just talk about aging. We talk about aging with intention, wisdom, and peace of mind. Whether it's through food, habits, or everyday decisions, we're walking this journey together. So from my heart to yours, thank you for spending this time with me today. It means a lot. And until next time, stay cautious, stay kind, and above all, stay thriving. I'll see you in the next one.